Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. The joys of home ownership. Fresh mulch, a yard full of potential, and a neighbor who decides your backyard's his personal dumping ground. In today's story, we meet a guy with zero boundaries, a shovel full of entitlement, and the balls to tell the new homeowner that they don't belong while standing on their land. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. My neighbor thought my backyard was his dumping ground. I moved into my new house about a month ago, a small place tucked into the inner city with a surprisingly decent-sized backyard. Shaded by tall trees, it had so much potential, even if it looked like no one had touched it in years. The weeds were wild, mulch non-existent, and the whole thing had that haunted, forgotten vibe. Still, I saw what it could be. We asked our real estate agent if we could clear it all up and landscape a bit, and they were more than happy to give the green light. So every weekend, since my partner and I had been out there hauling out broken branches, trimming back overgrowth, spreading fresh mulch, and getting some color back into the soil with new plants, it was starting to look alive again. Then today happened. I was inside drinking my coffee and taking a break from the heat when I heard shoveling. Not the rhythmic kind that makes you think someone's planting flowers. This was the aggressive, I'm angry at the dirt kind of shoveling. I stepped out to see what was going on. Standing right there, just past the fence line, was my neighbor, an older guy with a mean scowl and zero awareness of boundaries. Literally, because he was shoveling piles of leaves and other yard waste over our tall wooden fence straight into our backyard. I was stunned for a second. Then I pulled out my phone and hit record. "Hey, mate," I said, walking closer. "What are you doing?" He looked up, didn't flinch. "It's my yard. I can put whatever the hell I want there." I blinked. "Sorry, what?" He jabbed his shovel toward me like it was a sword. "This is my yard. Always has been. You're just renting the house. Keep your nose out of it." I pointed at the fence between us. There's a clear divider here. It's fenced. Also, I've seen the property lines on the sale listing and on the Landglide app. The boundary ends where the fence is. He snorted. "That app doesn't mean crap. The previous owner knew it was mine." "Cool," I said calmly. "Then show me the property line. Let's clear it up." His response? F off. I kept filming while he continued tossing debris into our space. After a minute, he gave me a nasty look and stomped off. Later that evening, after work, I got home and heard rustling in the backyard again. I quietly walked outside. There he was, this time crouching behind the fence, tossing more leaves over by hand. Like some kind of backyard gremlin. "Are you kidding me?" I said loudly enough for him to hear. He scrambled back into his yard like a startled raccoon and slammed the back door. I'd had enough. I texted the owner of our property and gave him the rundown. He was adamant, the backyard is ours, no question. Same from the real estate agent. They confirmed the title boundaries lined up with the fence. If the neighbor did own any part of it, it would have been fenced into his yard, not ours. So I did what needed doing. I grabbed a rake and tossed every single leaf, branch, and bit of trash back over the fence. Didn't damage anything, just cleaned up our yard and sent his mess home where it belonged. Then I drove down to the local police station and filed a report. Not for charges, just to have it documented. Trespassing, harassment, and dumping. All noted. Before I left, I walked the perimeter of the fence and made sure nothing on our side was leaning over into his yard. I trimmed the bushes clean and sharp. Didn't want to give him even an inch to claim something from our yard had crossed over into his kingdom of passive-aggressive nonsense. I haven't confronted him again since, haven't needed to. He's probably realized I'm not the kind of neighbor who just shrugs and tolerates it. I didn't move here to play fence wars or get into shouting matches with an old man about imaginary property lines. I've lived in dense urban buildings for years, and I've had better relationships with neighbors whose walls I could literally hear through. But this is my home now, and if you're going to live next door, the bare minimum I expect is that you don't throw garbage over my fence and scream at me when I ask you why. We're not friends. We probably never will be, but at least he knows I'm not backing down. Great story. Petty enough to be satisfying. You came in thinking you were just going to plant some flowers and reclaim a haunted backyard, and suddenly you're locked in a passive-aggressive turf war with discount Gandalf and his weaponized shovel. And our second story. Dude tried to sneakily change life insurance beneficiaries. Forgot the mail doesn't lie. I used to work for a large life insurance company handling customer service calls. Most days were fairly routine, answer questions, help people fill out forms, explain policy details. But then there were calls like this one. The man on the other end of the line was something else entirely. From the moment I picked up, he was loud, aggressive, and downright nasty. I could practically see him through the phone, suit and tie, probably sitting behind a polished mahogany desk, thinking the world revolved around him. Every sentence was sharp and forceful, and nearly every other word was laced with profanity. He barked his questions more like commands than actual inquiries. He demanded to know if it was possible to split his life insurance benefit between two people and whether those people had to be family. I calmly told him yes, it was possible, and no, the beneficiaries didn't have to be family members. He snapped. Fine, send the damn change of beneficiary form to my office, not my home. I confirmed I could do that, and before I could continue, he interrupted me again. Repeat it. I want to hear you say it. Repeat after me. I will send the change of beneficiary form to your office, not your home. I blinked. Seriously? Was he actually making me recite this like some kind of school pledge? But I did it, just trying to get through the call. Then he made me do it again. Say it again so I know you didn't mess it up. At that point, I was practically in tears. My hands were shaking. I felt humiliated and small, like I was just a voice at the end of the line with no humanity behind it. But even through all that, I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. He didn't want the form going to his house because his wife might see it. And let me tell you, if someone's changing their life insurance beneficiaries and hiding it from their spouse, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why. It wasn't exactly subtle. So I sent the form to his office exactly as he demanded. What I didn't tell him, because I wasn't required to and frankly wasn't allowed to cancel it, was that any change to a beneficiary triggers an automatic confirmation letter. It goes to the primary mailing address on file, and in his case, that was his home address. That confirmation letter included everything, the names of the new beneficiaries, the amounts each person was getting, and a nice little summary of the changes he made. There was absolutely nothing I could do to stop it or reroute it. It was system-generated and completely out of my hands. A few weeks later, I got curious and went back into his file. Sure enough, the change had been processed and then quietly reversed. The new beneficiaries he added, gone. The policy was back to listing his wife as the sole beneficiary. I didn't laugh out loud, but I won't lie, it felt great. All that abuse, all that pressure, and in the end, he torpedoed his own scheme with his arrogance. Maybe next time he'll think twice before barking at someone trying to help him. Or, committing insurance side quests behind his wife's back. And a few weeks after that, the wife filed a claim for the life insurance benefit due to her cheating husband dying in a mysterious accident. There was a little gravity anomaly near the upper stair window. And our last story. Play stupid HOA games, win stupid foreclosure prizes. Back in the early 2000s, my wife and I were newly married and scraping together a life in a modest condo complex surrounded mostly by retirees. It wasn't a bad place. Most of the older residents kept to themselves. Some grumbled about noise, others about parking, but generally they were harmless. Tight with money, sure, but not unfriendly. Then there was Gloria. She was maybe in her early 50s with a permanent scowl and a voice like a car alarm. While everyone else played bridge or swept their porch, Gloria made herself the rebel of the building. She claimed to be fighting the tyranny of the old folks mafia, as she called them, usually in all caps notes taped to the bulletin board. At first I had some sympathy. She seemed passionate, misunderstood maybe. After hearing some of her grievances, claims of favoritism, bullying by board members, selective rule enforcement, I thought, okay, maybe she's just been dealt a bad hand. So when I was nominated and voted onto the condo HOA board, I expected to be some kind of neutral party. Fresh blood. Maybe I'd even be able to bridge the gap. I was wrong. It didn't take long before I saw the real Gloria. The moment I was on the board, she flipped on me like a switch, accused me loudly and publicly of being part of the problem. Then it got worse. Rumors started floating around that I was abusing the board's access, that I had a master key and was using it to spy on residents. She told one neighbor I was a voyeur with a clipboard. Someone repeated it to my wife at the mailbox. It was insane. I kept my cool as long as I could, but one day a friend of mine came over and we ran into Gloria in the stairwell. She was shouting at some poor maintenance guy about a hallway light bulb that hadn't been changed. After she stormed off, my buddy turned to me and said, "Dude, I feel like my ears were just effed." That was the moment I decided I was done letting her play victim. So I started digging. Gloria never paid her HOA dues, not once. Every time she was sent a notice, she'd write back something unhinged about protesting corruption. But when I pulled records, her protest was nothing new. I found out she'd owned multiple condos in the city before, and she'd pulled the same exact stunt in every one. No dues paid, legal battles, angry letters, threats of lawsuits. Her endgame, I discovered, was brutal but clever. Once she racked up enough unpaid fees to get the board's attention, she'd put her unit up for sale at a price way below market. When a buyer came along, the board, fearing the property values would crash, would exercise their right of first refusal and be forced to buy the place themselves just to protect the comps in the building. She'd walk away scot-free, often still pocketing a small profit. When I laid it out to the rest of the board, jaws dropped. No one had put the whole pattern together until then. We got our lawyer involved immediately and slapped a lien on her condo for 3 years of unpaid maintenance fees. It was airtight. She couldn't sell the place without paying us first. That's when she tried her usual stunt. She filed for bankruptcy, hoping to stall things out. Not long after, we heard the bank had moved to foreclosed due to her unpaid mortgage. Once the foreclosure was finalized, we were ready. We worked with the bank, made an offer just a little under market, and bought the unit out from under her. No right of first refusal needed. It was now HOA property. We turned around and resold it within a month for full market value and recovered all the unpaid fees. She vanished after that, didn't even leave a note. People like Gloria try to paint themselves as martyrs. They want to be the misunderstood hero of some imagined fight against injustice. But when you scratch the surface, all you find is manipulation, chaos, and a complete lack of accountability. All it took was someone calling her bluff. And this time, she finally lost. Well played by the OP. It's unusual to read the story from the HOA's side. Some victims are just predators in disguise. Gloria didn't want fairness, she wanted leverage. And when someone finally called her bluff, her whole house of cards collapsed. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.